Hey guys. Alright, so this is a kind of an informative video, a little bit of a comparison video, but something I've been considering doing for a while now. I wanted to do maybe a Shirogorov custom division video, maybe a production video or a club video or whatever it may be, highlighting a Shirogorov knife, not just the knife itself, but the philosophy and other things of that nature. Now, this is my entire Shirogorov collection. It's grown quite a bit relatively recently. I have one of the custom division 95T that's headed out for a spa. It was a pretty used knife that I bought for a pretty good deal, so I'm pretty happy about that. But other than that knife, this is the entire collection, including the pen, etc. Right? So, anyway, what I'm going to get into is multiple things. This is going to be a long video. I'm just going to preface that right now. So if you're not in for a long video right now, just roll on out. One of my 7 viewers may not want to watch this long video. So, first I'm going to cover the different models. And I'm not talking about models like F3 or Hottie or F95. What I'm talking about is they're different levels. I should say levels, okay? So, first off, the bare bones basic model they have is their one bear, is what they kind of call it, right? Now, what this is going to be is say you get a 95 that's a one bear. That may have LMAX steel or there's been a couple in S30V or what you would consider a lower steel. Now, don't get me wrong, LMAX is a great steel. S30V is a great steel. I mean, Chris Reeves used S30V for like 20 years. So, I mean, it's a phenomenal steel. LMAX is a great steel as long as you got a decent heat treat. So, those are by no means not good steels, right? It's not OS 8 or something. Not saying that's terrible either, but it's a very basic steel, okay? Also, what you're going to get in a single bear knife or one bear knife is single row bearings, okay? So, no matter what, they're newer knives, you're not getting a washer knife. It's going to be a bearing knife. A single row of, I want to say it's like 13 bearings, just the one row. Now, a lot of their older knives had washers, which a lot of people, the washers is their favorite Shirogorov they have. So, again, not to downplay a single row bearing system, they're actually terrific. A lot of people think that they're smoother than the multi-row bearing or the roller bearings because they have less drag. Okay, so, but that is what it is. So that's what you're going to get with the single bears. You're also going to have, let's see. Oh, I knew I was missing one. Dang it. Here we go. This is kind of my user Shirogorov, so I didn't even have it in the picture. Look at me, what a dummy. Anyway, what you're going to have is you're going to have a clip screw, okay? A showing clip screw. Now, that goes for the 1, 2, and 3 bears. You're going to have a clip screw that is showing, okay? On the 2 bears models, what you're going to get is some upgrades, like either multi-row bearing system or a higher blade steel. So you might get M390, but you might get G10 with that instead of carbon fiber. You may get, let's see, some of the internal milling on the handles. Okay, so a 2 bears is kind of in between their 1 and 3. You're going to get some upgraded things and some things you won't. Now the 3 bears model, which is this one, you're going to get a multi-row bearing system. Okay, you're going to get a high-end blade steel like M390. And you're going to get internal milling. So those are kind of the 3 big things that you'll get by getting the 3 bears. You'll kind of get the best of all the worlds in a production knife. So 1, 2, and 3 bears are all production knives. 3 bears being the highest, you get all the good materials. You get the carbon fiber or the internal milling. You get the multi-row bearing system, and you get a high-end blade steel being either M390 or Van X 37. Okay. Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky. We move into what I would consider their next level of knives, which would be their club knives. So these are limited edition knives. This is a Club Hottie, one of 160, so limited by 160 knives. And what do you get with that? Well, on this one, you get a multi-row bearing system that has, I want to say, 54 bearings. So instead of your normal 42 bearings, which this one has, this will have 54 bearings, so quite a few more. You also get a high satin polish, or basically a mirror polish on the flats. So that's kind of cool. And you get a clip with a hidden clip screw, okay? So some upgrades. That's how the club knives tend to work. You don't get a full, you don't get a custom division knife, but you get a step above the production knives. And a lot of times it's some of the proprietary stuff that they do, right? So like this one was the first time they had the 54 bearings or the multi-row bearing system. It's the first time they did the hidden clip screw on not a custom division, okay? So you get some cool additions without it being a custom division. Another one that's a Bear's knife is the 111. On this one, you get the cutout in the blade. So that's kind of cool, right? You still get super premium steel in S90V. You can see that there. And I want to say that's it for this one. I'm almost positive that's it, except for you get a different wash on the clip and the back spacer. And the back spacer also says that it's going to be one of just 30 knives on this one. So kind of cool. The cutout's kind of the big deal, right? That's pretty cool. But yeah, again, you get a few upgrades from the production level knives. The production 111s don't have the cutout, and obviously they're not limited. So you get some good additions there. Next, you would have the collabs. And this is in my opinion, right? I'm not sure if the clubs are higher than the collabs or collabs are higher. In my opinion, I would say that the club knives are just a step above that. The collaborations are a step above the clubs. Now, the collaborations such as a Sinkovich or a Barker Hokkaido, or they got the Southern RFT, the Russian Flipping Tonto. Those knives have additional milling, where it's like 3D milling, so it's just a much more refined look to the titanium. They also come with roller bearings, except for the Sinkovich. Talk about that in a second. So you get the roller bearings in the collabs that the custom divisions would have. So that's why in my mind it's a step up, because you go from multi-row bearing systems up to the roller bearings. You're also going to have the hidden clip screw and a few other things. You're still going to have the lightning pockets, just like all of these have. What else? Oh, the Sinkovich. So their bearings, they use the proprietary, I shouldn't even call them proprietary, the bearings that Sinkovich himself uses. So that's like a Mickey, they call it like the Mickey Mouse. It's where you have sets of 3 bearings in a row. So it'll be 1, 2, 3 all the way around. Okay, so it's still like 3-row bearing system. It's just shaped a little bit differently. And if you get the chance to check out one of those knives, it's pretty cool. They're extremely, extremely smooth. So great knives. Obviously, the collabs are terrific. I unfortunately don't have one to show to you guys, but it is what it is. They're kind of hard to come by, and their secondary pricing is really high, and we'll get to that later. All right, now to the custom division knives. So this, and this are custom division knives. So, there's an F5 Silk that I have here, the Bronze Hottie, and the F3. So what do you get a step above the collabs is you're still going to have the roller bearings. You're going to have the 3D milling, okay? You're going to have the lightning pockets. You're going to have all those good things, but you're going to have a step up in materials. So you're going to have, on this one, for example, has a zirconium backspacer. It's got zirconium pivot collar. And this one, for example, has the really cool carbon fiber, the bronze infused marble carbon fiber, and it's got the bronze pivot collar along with a bronze clip and a bronze backspace. So really it's a step up in materials, right? Lightning strike carbon fiber for this one. Still hidden clip screws, still lightning pockets, still a lot of things that come in previous levels. Another step up, and this is kind of conjecture, I'm not even positive of this, but it's kind of what's been passed around, and that is what it is. I don't have a definitive answer, but some of the guys have talked about it on the forums and whatnot, is that when you're getting into a custom division, they are built by one person, okay? So the other ones go through a manufacturing process, multiple hands touch it, blah, blah, blah. The custom divisions are built by one person in Shirogorov's shop, okay? So now the older custom divisions like this one are said to be built by Shirogorov himself, Sergei Shirogorov, okay? Now we'll get to the full customs. I don't have one, unfortunately. They are insanely priced, at least for my pocketbook, they're insanely priced. The full customs are built by Sergei Shirogorov himself. Every single one of them is. They have extremely high level of materials, such as carbo quartz or Timascus or black Timascus or all kinds of stuff, right? Not only that, they have a double row roller bearing system. Now there are a couple custom divisions that have the double roller rolling bearing system, but those are pretty old models. Like the Seashell Hottie had them. I think there was only about 20 of those made total, so they're pretty rare in the custom division world. But his full customs have double roller bearing systems. Now I didn't really talk about the differences in those bearing systems, but basically what you're getting a step up from the single to the multi-roll bearing system, you're going to get a little bit more stability. Okay, yeah, there's a tiny bit more friction, although you really wouldn't know it. I mean, for example, this is multi-row bearing system, and it's smooth as can be, right? It is. They're all smooth. Shirogorovs are smooth, period. But you get a step up in stability. Now when you get to the roller bearings, you have a huge step up in stability and a different feel to the knife. So it's going to be pretty much impossible to show on camera, but roller bearings are very hydraulic feeling. Okay, I mean, in real world use, is it going to make a huge difference? I don't know. The stability and the strength of it has been proven through Shirogorov's tests, which you can find online. But for my purposes, and probably for 90% of people's purposes, it's just a different feeling, okay? Then when you step up to the double roller bearing system, the double row roller bearing system, it's even more hydraulic feeling and even more stability. So it's the most stable of all their bearing systems. All right, so that's basically how it is through the different levels in my mind, and from what research I've done. There's other guys that are they have more expertise in the area. You can look up stuff from Vlad, or my buddy James Wynn. I'll put his name out there. Hopefully he doesn't mind, but I've actually bought a couple knives from him, and he has a ton of experience and knowledge on the subject. He actually has his own YouTube channel too. I forgot the name of it. I'll put it in the description so that you guys can check out his videos. They're really excellent. He's really good at this. Okay, now let's get to the, I guess, semi-controversial part of Shirogorov's. I can't believe we're already 14 minutes in, but here we go. The pricing, okay? Shirogorov's pricing, in my mind, is terrific for what you're getting, okay? This is like an $800 knife. That's a shit ton of money. Don't get me wrong. Most people will be like, $800 freaking dollars for a knife? It's crazy. But for the materials you're getting, the action you're getting, the consistency you're getting, it's pretty solid, okay? Now, I would put that in the high end, maybe the mid-level, mid-tech pricing. But that's what you're going to get in quality. So I think it's worth it. For the club knives, now you're taking another step up. You're looking at probably $1,100 through Shirogorov. That's a good price for all the upgrades we talked about. That's a solid, jump from $800 to $1,100. That's a pretty fair price in my mind. To the custom divisions. On the table you see 3. I believe they run from Shirogorov table prices between $1,300 and $1,700. Again, for the material upgrades, the roller bearings, the hidden clip screw, things of that nature, I think it's worth it. Talking about $200-$300 all the way up to $400 more expensive. So their pricing is solid. In my mind, I think they have a good model. I think their pricing makes sense with the upgrades that you get. Here's the controversial part. The secondary markup, the secondary prices on these are insane. Okay, so on the club knives, you're looking at probably between $400 to $600 markup on top of Shirogorov's price, which to a lot of people, that's not that much. That's doable. I would even say for me, I understand the markup there being limited knives. When we step up to the custom divisions, now you're looking at upwards of double Shirogorov's price. Actually, some of these more than double his table price, and it's tough to find. It's tough to find them, and that's why they're more expensive, right? Because either people hang on to them, they get in collectors' hands, and they stay, or people buy them at the table for whatever. I'm actually not positive what these go for. I know it's between $1,300 and $1,700, but then people just flip them. Now, that's their right. Absolutely their right to do that. They know they can make money that way. Maybe the knife to them isn't that great, and they sell it for double what they paid for it. But it's really tough for collectors that are middle wage collectors to purchase these knives. So that's where the controversy comes into me. When I look at a Shirogorov knife custom division, and I think in my mind, is this a $2,500 knife? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a tough debate. I mean, obviously you look at my table and you think, well, it must be worth it to you. I don't know. I think about it a lot. Do I love their custom divisions? Absolutely. Do I love their productions? Absolutely. Do I love their semi-production or mid-tech? Yes, I do. I love them all, and I appreciate them for what they are. The pricing is rough, though. It really is. And that goes for the collaborations, too. That's honestly why I don't have one. Because if I had won one and won the lottery, which is, it's tough to do. They only make 200 knives usually of those collaborations. And you have thousands of people putting in for them. If you win one and you pay $1,600 or $1,700, great. You made a great deal. That's a good purchase, a knife that's easily worth that. But then you have flippers who will go on and sell them for $3,000 the next day. And that's tough for a lot of people to swallow. Now, granted, in the knife collecting world, there are a ton of people that have no issues. They'll pay $3,000 for a knife, no problem. Even if it's flipped, it doesn't matter. To them, it's part of their collection, and their goals are to collect as many high-end Shirogorovs or whatever knives it may be to them, right? Now, when you're talking about their customs, table prices, around $3,000. So pretty expensive, but you're talking about a full custom handmade by Sergei Shirogorov himself. And that's not out of the realm of most custom knife makers that are really good at what they do. A $3,000 custom is in line with the great makers of the knife world, right? Not talking about art knives. We'll get to that in a different episode. But then a lottery will go for that knife and it'll be $20,000. I don't know about you guys, but that's half of a really nice car. That's insane to me. But it is what it is. The guys that can afford that, go for it, right? It's their money, it's their business. Absolutely. If you have unlimited funds, buy a $20,000 knife, no big deal, right? But to most of us out there, most normal knife collectors, I would definitely consider myself a normal knife collector. $20,000 is more than, it's more than my whole collection. So yeah, it's a no-go for me. Okay, I think we've rambled on. I've beat that up enough. You guys can flame spray me. I love it. In the comments, let me know what you think. Let me know what I got wrong about any of this stuff, and bring some knowledge to me. I'm all about it. Now, with all that said, let's get to why Shirogorovs are great. Why they are, in my mind, elite. In the knife collecting world, I think Shirogorovs are elite, and these are the reasons why. Number one, action and detent. Every single Shirogorov you pick up has a great action and a perfect detent. I mean a detent where the blade cannot be shaken out, yet there's not enough lock bar tension or friction for the knife to not fall under its own weight. All of these do. All of them, right? I mean, it's so consistent. That one almost took my thumb off, right? Like, every single one of them is consistent. It doesn't matter the bearing system used. It doesn't matter, which model it is. They're all pretty much perfect. This one needs some breaking in. I'm going to show you the action anyway. But once this one's broken in, it's going to be the same as all the rest of these. And the action is flawless. The detent, you can hear it, right? The detent is just, it's perfect. It sounds great. They're fast flippers. Even this giant, this thing is 4.37 inches. And look how fast that blade comes out. Just, they're all, it's really the standard. Shirogorov action and detent is the standard of the knife, the knife community, okay? Another thing is materials. So you're getting either full titanium, fully sculpted 3D titanium. Some of these are 3D, 2D titanium, whatever it may be. So that's great. You get the awesome marble, copper infused marble carbon fiber, all the cool stuff, the lightning strike carbon fiber, whatever it is. Their materials are terrific, right? That's another great thing. Even their G10 is just super nice, right? Look at the milling lines on the G10. I mean, that's freaking cool. Like, there's no Shirogorov, you're like, oh, those materials suck. Even their single bears material, their G10, a lot of times it looks like carbon fiber. It's so nice it looks like carbon fiber. So they just knocked the ball out of the park right there. Their bearing systems, obviously the multitude of different bearing systems, yet they're all flawless. That's another thing about Shirogorovs that are great, right? They're different bearing systems and the quality of their bearing systems. Their consistency throughout their knives. I mean, I just showed it, right? Every single action here out of 2, 4, 6, 7 knives is nearly flawless. Every single one of them. 7 of 7. Consistency, right? Their production quality to their mid-level quality to their custom divisions are all basically flawless. So that consistency is what makes them great. Another thing, visually, you can just look at their knives, and I know this isn't for everyone. Not everyone's the same, right? I like different knives too. Big giant knives, big, knives you can do whatever with. Like, this thing's giant, right? So don't get me wrong, I like different type of knives too, but I think in general these are right in line with what most people would say is a very attractive knife. Relatively thin, all have nice blade grinds that go to a relatively thin cutting edge. Okay, so in my mind, they're very attractive, and I think to most people, they're very attractive. They go in the pocket well. They're not going to be taking up half your pocket. You can still put keys in there, whatever it may be, and your pocket's going to be fine, even with this sword. Let's see, what else? The weight. Holy crap, the weight on these. What's funny is before this video, I weighed every single one of these knives. And Shirogorov, they must have genius planning, right? They must go into whatever their office boardroom is and they say, you know what, we're going to make a knife today. We're going to make it fully sculpted titanium. We're going to make lightning pockets inside of it, and we're going to make it weigh 4.5 ounces. They know exactly what the knife's going to weigh. And the reason I say that is this knife, this knife, this knife, and this knife. Oh, and this knife. So 5 out of these knives, 5 out of the 7 of these weighs 4.6 ounces. Is that coincidence? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it is. But I can't imagine it is, considering you're talking about different materials, different blade styles, right? And they all weigh 4.6 ounces. I thought that was pretty interesting. The pocket sword here, the 111, weighs 5.1 ounces. That's a 4.37 inch blade that weighs 5.1 ounces. I don't think you can ask for much better than that. That's as good as it gets in my mind. The F95T custom division is extremely milled out, so it weighs 4.2 ounces. So it's the lightest of the bunch here. Let's see. Attention to detail. I kind of already mentioned it with the consistency, but the attention to detail on these knives is nearly identical. Even now, I will say this. On this knife, yep, just this one, the one production knife I have here, the pivot will come loose once in a while. But it's, obviously I have the tool, but actually all I have to do is take my fingernail and tighten it, and it's right back to perfect, and it stays that way for quite a while, right? It's not like a big deal. It doesn't come loose with like 3 flicks or anything. So that's another thing that's attention to detail and consistency in my mind, is that their screws don't come loose. Look, we're talking about $800 knives and above, so I don't expect their screws to come loose. They damn well better not, right? When you're talking about this type of prices, but it's still, I still commend them on the consistency, right? All these knives are perfectly centered. All of these knives have 0 blade play, and again, with the expense going into it, that's what you expect. But you don't always get that. Just because you expect it doesn't mean you always get it, right? But you do with Shirogorov. You know exactly what you're getting. When the knife shows up, you know that you're going to have a centered blade with no blade play and amazing action, and the materials are going to be flawless. To me, that's a big thing. I mean, that's a company that knows what the hell they're doing, and they get it right every single time. Okay, I do have a knock. One knock out of all of these, besides secondary pricing, which has absolutely nothing to do with the company itself, right? That is us, the consumers, setting the market. They do not set the market. They put their pricing out. That is what it is. So secondary markups, it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it unless we finally just crack down and say, I'm not freaking paying that much for a knife. But I'm off that rant. That's done. The packaging. All right, so I brought out one of the custom division packaging. This box, I know you may not be able to tell it from just looking at it on the video. It's pretty flimsy, man. It's thin. It's just not that well constructed. It's just not greatly constructed for the type of prices and the type of knives that you're getting. You take a look at an Anthony Marfione packaging. Holy crap, man. They go above and beyond. There's a bunch of other ones that do too. Direware, I think, does a really good job. There's plenty. Shirogorov does not. Now, I think it's cool that it comes with this certificate. Now, the productions come with a different looking certificate. It's equally as cool, but that's it. This is what it comes in. This is what you're, even if you're paying the table price, that's what your $1,500 knife comes in. I don't know, man. It's not the best. Now, it does come with this cloth. Every single knife they come with, they sell comes with the cloth, right? The microfiber cloth. That's always nice to get. But the packaging leaves a little bit to be desired. Now, those boxes, unless you really take care of them, they're going to look banged up as hell. That's just the way it is. So, look, I talked about a lot. I talked for half a freaking hour. Tell me what's wrong with my video. Tell me why I'm jacked up. Tell me if you think this is a good video and maybe I should do more like this. And yeah, that really wraps it up. We're talking about top of the line knives at relatively reasonable prices in the mid to high range. Okay, yeah, you're not talking about Sebenza prices, we're talking about above that. I think they fit into a good spot with their pricing. I think that the quality and the consistency of the knives is outstanding, but I think they could have some better packaging. Now, if that's my biggest knock on a knife, hey, it is what it is, right? All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.